breaking hold onto your wigs because Jaguar Wright just detonated another bomb on the music industry. According to her country sweetheart, Keith Urban might have been plucking more than just guitar strings with rising star Maggie Baugh. That's right, Jaguar is claiming there's a secret baby in the mix, and the receipts? Allegedly real enough to make Nashville tremble. How did a backstage jam session turn into a full-blown paternity scandal? Why is everyone in Hollywood pretending not to know? And why is Maggie suddenly deleting old posts? Buckle up, because this isn't a love song, it's a cover-up in high definition. Let's start from the top. The moment Jaguar Wright decided to go nuclear on country music's golden couple. The same Jaguar who once called out half the R&B industry for selling souls and swapping secrets is now pointing her perfectly manicured finger straight at Keith Urban, the man whose smile alone has probably sold 1 million records. But according to Jaguar, that smile's been hiding a whole nursery of secrets. It all began when Jaguar went live at 3 in the morning. Yes, 3 a.m., the official hour of chaos and confession. She appeared in a dimly lit room, sunglasses on, teacup in hand, and said the words that would send shockwaves across timelines. You'll want to know who Maggie Baugh's baby daddy is. It ain't no random roadie. It's Keith damn Urban. The internet went feral. Twitter turned into a courtroom, TikTok became an FBI headquarters, and YouTube gossip channels were already designing their thumbnails. People didn't even wait for proof. They started dissecting old performances, cross-referencing tour dates, zooming into photos of backstage hugs. Within hours, the hashtag Keith Baby scandal started trending. Right next to hashtag Pray for Nicole. Jaguar claimed she had voice notes, screenshots, and even medical receipts connecting Keith to Maggie. She hinted that the affair started during a Nashville songwriting retreat. You know, the kind where late-night collaborations turn into unplanned compositions. Allegedly, the two got close while working on a track that never made it to Maggie's album. That track? Supposedly titled Backroads and Lies. But this wasn't just gossip anymore. Jaguar framed it like an expose. She claimed Keith had been financially supporting Maggie ever since, using what she called industry hush funds. She even said she had an anonymous accountant who confirmed monthly transfers from a ghost label account. Of course, no one could verify any of it, but in Jaguar land, verification is optional. And here's where it gets juicier. Jaguar didn't stop at Keith and Maggie. She started pulling Nicole Kidman's name into it too, saying Nicole knew. She knew. According to Jaguar, Nicole allegedly confronted Keith after noticing too many late-night calls to a number saved as Studio Babe. Now, let's be real. Nicole Kidman has survived Tom Cruise, Scientology, and a decade of Hollywood rumors. But even she wasn't ready for Jaguar Wright with Wi-Fi. Within 24 hours, blogs were running with headlines like Nicole Kidman secretly files for DNA test and Maggie Baugh's silence speaks louder than a country song, none of it confirmed, but all of it irresistible. Meanwhile, Maggie Baugh, the sweet, guitar-slinging singer who's built her career on wholesome vibes, went radio silent. No posts, no stories, no live sessions. Her team reportedly said she was taking time for herself, which on the internet translates to, I'm hiding until this storm passes. But then, just as fans began to calm down, Maggie posted a cryptic Instagram story, a black screen with the words, "Some songs aren't meant to be heard by everyone." Boom, the internet lost it again. That single line was interpreted as a confession, a warning, and a prophecy all at once. Comment sections filled with detective theories. That's about Keith, I know it. She's protecting the baby. Nicole hired lawyers already. Every angle, every theory, every screenshot, everything added fuel to the already blazing wildfire. Meanwhile, Jaguar doubled down. In another live session, she waved her phone at the camera, claiming, I got messages from Maggie herself, thanking me for telling her truth. When someone in the comments asked to see the messages, Jaguar smirked and said, y'all ain't ready for that level of truth yet. Classic Jaguar, always one shocking sentence away from breaking the internet. By this point, Keith Urban's PR team went into what insiders call damage control lockdown. Tabloids claimed that lawyers were preparing statements, NDA letters were being reinforced, and certain studio files were quietly being deleted. The same day, an anonymous source, allegedly from Keith's tour crew, told a blog everyone backstage knew something was going on. The chemistry between Keith and Maggie was impossible to ignore. It started with music, ended with mayhem, of course. We don't know if that source even exists, but the quote fit perfectly to question. That's the beauty of fake news-style storytelling. If it sounds believable enough, it becomes its own truth online. Now, here's where the scandal started to snowball. People began digging up Maggie's past interviews, trying to find clues. In one clip from last year, she nervously laughs when asked about her celebrity crush, then quickly changes the subject. Another interview showed her performing an unreleased song where she sings, "You promised me the moon, but left me with your echo." Fans decided that was a confession in disguise. And while all this was unfolding, Jaguar was thriving, posting reaction videos, retweeting memes, and calling out industry puppets for staying silent. She claimed that the music industry was protecting one of their golden boys and that powerful people are panicking behind closed doors. The live stream that followed would make internet history. Jaguar Wright, sitting in what looked like her living room, hair wrapped up and tea steaming beside her, hit that go live button again, and within minutes, tens of thousands were watching. The comments were flooding in faster than she could read them. People were typing, "Drop the proof. We're ready. Show us the receipts, Jaguar." She leaned back, gave the camera that sly, knowing smile, and whispered, "They thought I was bluffing. They thought I was just talking. But tonight, I'm dropping the truth." That was all it took. Screenshots, alleged voice messages, and pixelated photos started flashing across her screen. She claimed they came from a verified insider who was sick of the lies, according to Jaguar. Maggie had allegedly been pressured to stay quiet by label executives who wanted to protect Keith's image and his marriage. She described how money changed hands, contracts were rewritten, and NDA letters were signed in panic. And of course, every statement came with that perfect dose of drama and proof that could hold in court. But enough mystery to make the audience believe something was being covered up. Viewers started sharing screen recordings before Jaguar even ended her live. Twitter was flooded with blurry screenshots captioned, "This is what they don't want you to see." One of the so-called messages appeared to show a text from someone saved as KU that read, "We'll talk after the show. Stay calm. Remember, you're not alone in this." Was it real? Nobody knew. But the audience wasn't waiting for verification. The narrative had already taken on a life of its own. Influencers, gossip bloggers, and even fan pages began analyzing the screenshots like they were CIA documents. There were threads breaking down grammar styles, emojis, and even timestamp fonts. One TikToker claimed to have matched the wallpaper in the photo to Keith Urban's old Nashville home. Another swore Maggie's reflection could be seen in a mirror behind the text message. Then came the so-called audio leaks. Jaguar played a few muffled recordings of what she said were backstage conversations between Maggie and Keith. The voices were low and barely recognizable, but Jaguar's narration made sure every viewer heard exactly what she wanted them to. That's him right there saying, "We can't let this get out. You hear that? Clear as day." The audience nodded along, as if the truth had been revealed. As the story spiraled, Keith Urban's PR team released a brief, emotionless statement. "These claims are completely false and defamatory. Mr. Urban will not be engaging with baseless rumors," but that only made things worse. The internet doesn't believe silence, it feeds on it. Fans began interpreting the statement as damage control. Memes surfaced overnight showing Keith holding a baby guitar with the caption, "It's yours, cowboy." Meanwhile, Nicole Kidman reportedly left the country to film a project in Italy. But that didn't stop online detectives from insisting she was escaping the scandal. A fake People magazine cover even circulated online with the headline, "Nicole demands truth, the secret that broke her marriage." The magazine had to publicly deny it was real, but the screenshot kept circulating once it's viral. The damage is done. Maggie Baugh, who had stayed silent until now, finally broke her quiet with a single post. It was a photo of her holding a guitar, her caption reading, "The music speaks louder than the noise." Within minutes, it had over 200,000 likes and thousands of comments. Half were supportive, half were speculative, and all of them reignited the fire. Some fans praised her strength, while others accused her of playing coy to keep the publicity. Behind the scenes, blogs claimed Jaguar was being contacted by major networks for interviews. She teased on her next stream that a documentary offer was already on the table. "They thought I was crazy," she said, "but now they want to cut me a check for telling the truth." The self-proclaimed whistleblower had turned her chaos into currency, but the more attention Jaguar got, the more skeptics started digging into her story. Critics noticed inconsistencies in her screenshots. Some timestamps didn't match Maggie's known tour schedule, and the insider email header looked suspiciously like a Gmail draft. One journalist tweeted, "Either Jaguar just blew the lid off the biggest music scandal of the decade or she's auditioning for Netflix." Still, the audience didn't care. Truth had become entertainment, and Jaguar was the star of her own show. She knew exactly how to keep viewers hanging on. "I still got more," she whispered dramatically into the camera. And y'all ain't ready for the hospital receipts. Hospital receipts. That phrase alone sent social media into overdrive. Comment sections filled with speculations. Was Maggie's baby already born? Did Keith pay for the hospital bills? Was Nicole the one who found out? Theories piled up like tabloid headlines in a checkout aisle. As if that wasn't enough, a fake leak document began circulating on Reddit, showing supposed financial transactions between a Keith and an Maggie Baugh. It looked convincing enough to fool thousands. Within hours, it was reposted on gossip pages with captions like, "The receipts Jaguar promised are here, of course." No one noticed that the dollar amounts were formatted in euros. Keith's legal team reportedly reached out to several platforms demanding takedowns, but by then the content was everywhere. The Streisand effect had fully kicked in. Trying to erase the story only made people believe it more. Every deleted post was seen as proof of censorship. By the end of the week, Jaguar was trending again, this time with the hashtag Jaguar Unfiltered. She was milking every second, go and live twice a day, calling out the gatekeepers and industry hypocrites. "They can't silence me," she declared. "The people already know the truth, and that's where the real chaos began." Jaguar wasn't backing down. Maggie wasn't confessing, Keith wasn't talking, and the fans? They were just getting started. The night Jaguar Wright promised to drop the final truth, the internet froze like it was waiting for a national emergency broadcast. Notifications lit up phones worldwide, Twitter spaces open, reaction channels went live, and gossip blogs had Jaguar exclusive banners flashing before she even hit record. Her title? The Baby Files, and if that wasn't dramatic enough, she started the live stream in total silence, just staring at the camera, sipping tea, while dramatic gospel music played in the background. Then, with a slow smirk, she whispered, "They told me to stop. But y'all know, I don't stop." Jaguar claimed she now had proof of a DNA cover-up. She said a private clinic in Tennessee had doctored birth records for a celebrity client. She never mentioned Keith or Maggie by name, but every viewer already knew exactly who she was talking about. "A baby was born, y'all," she declared. "And that baby got blue eyes, blonde curls, and a last name that ain't supposed to exist." The live comments exploded. "Show the receipts. DNA or IT didn't happen. This is bigger than Hollywood." Then came the so-called exclusive document. Jaguar held up a blurry sheet of paper with half the text redacted, claiming it was a confidential paternity file. The font looked suspiciously like a Word template, but by that point, no one cared. The word positive was highlighted, and that was all the audience needed. She slammed the paper down and shouted, "They thought they could bury the truth, but the internet always digs it up." Within minutes, #KeithUrbanBaby and hashtag Maggie Baugh Exposed were trending #1 worldwide. Reaction videos popped up by the hour. One self-proclaimed industry insider claimed that Maggie had been seen at a pediatric clinic in Nashville under an alias. Another Twitter thread alleged that Nicole Kidman had quietly unfollowed both Keith and Maggie months ago, which wasn't true. But facts had stopped mattering days ago. Meanwhile, Keith's management went into full-blown panic mode. Press releases were sent to every major outlet calling Jaguar's claims fabricated and dangerous. Lawyers drafted defamation notices, but the damage had already taken root. Every takedown led to 3 more re-uploads. Even verified journalists started phrasing headlines as questions instead of denials. Could Jaguar Wright's claims hold any truth? The line between rumor and reporting had officially vanished. Maggie Baugh tried again to reclaim the narrative with a second post. This time it was a video, her sitting in her car, visibly emotional, saying, "I don't know who or what I did to deserve this, but I've never lied to anyone. I'm just trying to make music." She didn't name Jaguar or Keith, but her voice cracked halfway through. That vulnerability only added fuel to the fire. Fans split into 2 armies, one calling her a victim, the other saying she was soft-launching the truth, and Jaguar, she was loving every second. "Y'all see how they shook?" She said on her next stream. "I told you this industry protects its predators." She started name-dropping random executives, producers, even record label CEOs, connecting them to the supposed cover-up. "It ain't just about one baby," she claimed. "It's about a whole system built on secrets." By the next morning, several gossip outlets reported that multiple networks had reached out to Jaguar for a potential docuseries deal. She hinted at one herself. "They offered me cameras, baby. They want to document the downfall." But the twist no one saw coming was the sudden leak of an alleged email exchange between Keith's lawyers and a PR firm. It read like a crisis strategy document, complete with phrases like "contain narrative" and "schedule exclusive" with sympathetic outlet. The leak had no verification, but it was enough to convince viewers that Keith's team was panicking behind the scenes. "He's running scared," Jaguar said gleefully, "because he knows I got more." Then, silence. For 2 days, Jaguar didn't post, didn't stream, didn't tease. The internet went wild trying to guess why. Some said she'd been sued into silence. Others swore she'd been paid off. One TikTok even claimed she'd been visited by industry fixers who made her sign an NDA. The less she spoke, the more people believed something huge had gone down. On day 3, Jaguar finally returned. Her voice was quieter, almost somber. "They told me to stop talking," she said softly, "and maybe I will. For now." Then she looked straight into the camera and added, "But just remember this, every lie gets tired of hiding." And with that, she ended the live. That single line went viral faster than anything she'd ever said. Fans turned it into audio edits, TikTok transitions, and motivational memes. "Every lie gets tired of hiding" became the new internet anthem. For Jaguar, the scandal wasn't just a claim anymore. It was a brand. Keith Urban resurfaced briefly for a concert in Las Vegas, smiling through the storm. He didn't address the rumors, didn't post any statement, didn't even flinch when fans shouted, "Who's the baby, Keith?" During a break in his set. That clip of him forcing a smile while strumming his guitar racked up millions of views. Silence had become his only defense, but to the audience, it looked like guilt behind closed doors. Sources claimed the story had reached major executives in Nashville who were monitoring the situation. One even told a blog, "This could cost millions in sponsorship deals." But at the same time, Maggie's streaming numbers tripled. Every scandal mentioned boosted her name in algorithms. Controversy was currency, and everyone was cashing in. By the end of the month, the truth no longer mattered. What mattered was the narrative, and Jaguar had won it. Whether or not there was a secret baby didn't change the fact that she'd managed to hijack the headlines, dominate every feed, and make even the most skeptical viewer ask, "What if?" Because that's the magic of fake news. It doesn't need proof. It just needs a stage, a villain, a victim, and a storyteller willing to blur every line between reality and rumor. Jaguar Wright was all of that and more. She didn't just expose the system, she became the system, and somewhere in a studio in Nashville, Keith Urban was strumming a quiet melody. pretending not to notice that the song playing louder than any of his hits was the one written by Jaguar. And that right there is the chaos only Jaguar Wright could deliver. A woman who doesn't just tell a story, she detonates it. Whether you believe every word she said or think this was the performance of a lifetime, one thing's for sure, the internet loves a scandal that refuses to die. From fake paternity tests to secret NDA letters, this saga turned into a full-blown masterclass in how truth gets buried and then resurrected by clicks, shares, and hashtags. So, what's next? Will Jaguar finally drop the final proof she keeps teasing, or has she already said too much? Will Keith Urban break his silence, or will this mystery baby rumor haunt him forever? The only thing we know for certain is that in the world of viral exposes, the drama never sleeps. It just rebrands itself every week. If you're still here, you clearly live for this kind of storytelling. So don't just scroll away. Hit subscribe, drop a comment with your theory, and keep your notifications on, because this is Lumi Legacy, where reality fades and the truth always finds its way back online.